Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Get Back on the Train. It's a live performance of the Fish song Back on the Train by Dead Fish Orchestra. They performed this version live at the Sitzmark in Alyeska Resort in Girdwood, Alaska on March 7th, 2015. You can listen to this performance as well as many others by going to archive.org/details/deadfishorchestra. You can also learn more about the group by going to their website at deadfishorchestra.com. And you can see band members Paul Murin, Brian Adams, and Chris Sheldon performing together as Chris Sheldon and Friends at the Jamestown Mercantile, located at 108 Main Street in Jamestown on Thursday, January 23rd, starting at 7 p.m.
Into the howling wind. It took me a long time to get back on the train.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to this week's Miscellaneous Monday episode of the Mountaineer Podcast, where we cover various topics from all across the Peak to Peak area. This week, I am bringing you the first segment from Maryann Rosen of 2025. Before we get into her segment, though, of course I have my regular promotional announcements. However, I did want to acknowledge, as I'm airing this podcast, January 20th, 2025, is not only Martin Luther King Day 2025, but it is Inauguration Day for the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump. I'm not going to make any personal political statements, nor am I going to make any statements on behalf of the Mountaineer. Regardless of where your beliefs fall, this election period has been an incredibly divisive one, and I have a feeling it will continue to be divisive for a while. So, wherever your thoughts are going about where the future may lead, I just wanted to say that I personally hope we can keep working through our hard times together, and we can find ways to move through the difficult times in our country and across the world together. That's all I wanted to say on the matter. So hopefully, Maryann Rosen's first segment of 2025 will take your mind off of some of the divisiveness that's been happening recently. But again, before we transition into her segment, couple of quick announcements. First off, if you haven't subscribed to The Mountaineer yet and you're looking for something new to subscribe to in 2025, we highly recommend you subscribe to support us and local journalism as a whole. If you want to browse our full digital archive on our website at the mtnear.com, find scanned copies of the physical newspapers, or even receive a physical subscription in your mailbox or send it to the mailbox of someone that you love, then please head to that website, the mtnear.com today, and subscribe. In fact, if you stay tuned to the end of this episode, you'll get a special discount meant specifically for Mountaineer Podcast listeners. The second thing is this weekend's movie at the Backdoor Theater, which is Mufasa, the Lion King, rated PG. Here's the log line provided by the Backdoor. Mufasa, a cub lost and alone, meets a sympathetic lion named Taka, the heir to a royal bloodline. The chance meeting sets in motion an expansive journey of a group of misfits searching for their destiny. If you're interested in seeing this movie and you want to see it in the Peak to Peak area, then be sure to head over to the Backdoor Theater located in the Nederland Community Center at 750 North Highway 72 in Nederland on Friday, January 24th, starting at 7 p.m., on Saturday, January 25th, starting at 2 p.m. for an open caption matinee, and again on Saturday, January 25th, starting at 7 p.m. for a great time at the movies. And finally, here's one more quick message brought to you by The Mountaineer.
Are you interested in advertising? The Mountaineer has advertising in print, on our website, through our social media. We have 3 guides each year, coupon insertions, and more. Want more information? Email marketing@themountaineer.com or give Bethany a call at 720-960-2900.
All right, now let's get into Maryann Rosen's very first segment of 2025.
This is the Mountain Ear Podcast, and I'm Maryann Rosen, bringing you history, lore, or stories from or about the mountains you live in. As winter is embracing us, what a great time to talk about weather and mountain living. Mountain towns often experience cold temperatures during winter, which can exacerbate the impacts of wind and snow, though summer winds are also typical. Mountain ranges can act as barriers, causing air to rise and descend rapidly, creating strong winds. When there is snow, wind can easily pick up and transport it. In summer, warm air during the day rises from the valley floor, creating an upward draft, while at night the cooler mountain air descends, creating a downward breeze. A summer wind is typically cool and refreshing, and is often referred to as a mountain breeze or valley breeze, depending on the direction of the wind flow. Wind is the movement of air caused by the uneven heating of the earth by the sun and the earth's own rotation. We can't see it or hold it, but you can feel it and see what it can do. One can see what it does in the swirling dancing of the leaves, the trees swaying, the way it whips up waves on water in lakes and rivers. It can carry smells and aromas, dry your clothing, or chill you to the bone. Wind can be strong enough to carry sailing ships, rip trees from the ground, or be a gale that whips you around. Or wind can be a zephyr, soft and gentle, touching you like gentle fingers. A puff or a hurricane. Snow, precipitation that falls as frozen water crystals, are hexagonal, and it is true that no two are alike. They appear as white because light reflects off of the many sides of the snowflake, which is actually colorless and translucent. Snow can be powdery and dry, or wet and heavy, light flurries, a dusting, or a blizzard. Living in the peak-to-peak area, none of this is surprising, and storms are part of its history and its present. Central City, with its mining history and its location, has been subject to notable weather events, particularly with wind and snow. One of the first early historic weather events occurred in the winter of 1864, as the area was just being settled during the Colorado Gold Rush. Transpiring during the peak of the mining boom, an exceptionally heavy snowstorm hit the area, stranding many in the remote town. Snow accumulations were so heavy, transportation between Central City and Denver were nearly impossible. The storm caused major supply shortages, and many miners were stuck until the spring thaw. Winter storms like this were common and were one of the challenges faced by early settlers. The rugged environment around Central City often trapped miners in blizzards. Many miners worked in deep, isolated shafts or in high-altitude locations, and severe snows and winds were a constant threat. During winters in the late 1800s and early 1900s, there were multiple instances of miners being unable to return to town due to storms. The snow could pile up so high that routes between Central City, Black Hawk, or Boulder would become impassable for days, forcing workers to hunker down in the mines. 1914 saw a severe windstorm, causing damage to the area. The town, with its elevation at 8,691 feet above sea level, is subject to powerful winds. The windstorm in 1914 wreaked havoc with gusts that uprooted trees and damaged buildings. Local reports from the time indicate that winds reached 75 miles per hour. In addition to snowstorms and high winds, avalanches also posed a threat. Miners traveled by horse-drawn sleds over snow-covered mountain paths. Historical accounts show that during heavy snowfalls, combined with strong winds, avalanches were a constant danger. These led to fatalities among miners and travelers caught in unexpected avalanche events. Actually, weather may have played a role in the town's shifting fortunes as the mining industry began to decline. Harsh winters made it difficult to transport goods and keep the town running. That, combined with the dwindling mineral resources, contributed to the town's economic downturn. Over time, Central City's inhabitants began moving away. But notable weather is not just a memory from the mining era. In 1969, Central City, along with surrounding areas, experienced a fierce storm. The storm brought heavy snow, followed by strong winds with gusts reaching 90 miles per hour in some parts. It created hazardous driving conditions, especially in the narrow mountain passes leading to and from Central City. Many residents were isolated for days, and some smaller homes suffered damage. The storm highlighted just how unpredictable weather in mountain towns can be. Even today, Central City's altitude and positioning can amplify wind speeds, making them more extreme than in lower elevations just a few miles away. Residents have shared stories of gusts that felt that they could tear roofs off, while others recall snowdrifts forming rapidly due to the wind's power. Heading along the peak to Rawlinsville, we found a town whose weather history is defined by its mountainous location. From the early days of mining and the railroad to modern times, the residents of Rawlinsville have had to contend with the volatility of mountain weather. Exceptional and notable events in 1913 and 1923 included heavy snowfall and powerful wind gusts, creating massive drifts, leaving families stranded without access to essential services. Roads and communications with nearby towns like Nederland and Coal Creek Canyon were cut off. Rawlinsville sits in a narrow mountain valley, so the town is vulnerable to these types of wind events. Avalanches were also a threat to Rawlinsville, especially along the main route through Coal Creek Canyon. These avalanches, shifting snows, and changes in wind patterns were a constant concern for miners, rail workers, and residents of the town. The area's harsh weather was challenging for the Colorado and Southern Railway, as Rawlinsville played a crucial role as a railroad stop transporting goods, people, and mining equipment to and from mining camps. Weather often disrupted service as snow would drift onto the tracks and strong winds could cause derailments or delays. Railroad workers would have to shovel snow from the tracks and clear fallen trees. In more recent years, Rawlinsville has also been impacted by storms. One powerful windstorm struck in 2003 when winds reached speeds of 80 miles per hour. The storm caused extensive damage for trees and power lines, leaving residents without power for several days. These types of windstorms can be devastating in the mountainous regions of Colorado, as they often fell trees that block roads, further isolating communities. Rawlinsville, like many mountain towns, has learned how to prepare for weather events. However, windstorms in the region are a reminder of the challenges posed by the natural environment. Nederland has also experienced some notable weather throughout its history. Nederland's location at 8,235 feet above sea level means it is no stranger to extreme weather, particularly related to wind, snow, and temperature fluctuations. While not unique to Nederland, the blizzard of 1888, also known as the school children's blizzard, affected much of the central United States, including Colorado. The blizzard was characterized by sudden and severe snow that came with little warning, stranding people in remote areas, especially in the mountains. Many rural communities, including Nederland, faced treacherous conditions where drifts of snow and extreme winds made travel impossible. Though Boulder is sometimes referred to as a windy city, Nederland lives up to that title, especially in the spring and fall. Local lore holds that the wind, almost constantly from the west, is a hallmark of the region, and old-timers recount how they've seen the town's lighter structures or camping tents blown away by strong gusts. In the winter, Nederland also can experience high winds, with gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour, especially affecting the passes or mountain ridges surrounding the town. These winds can create whiteout conditions and make the area prone to dangerous snowdrifts. In more recent history, a storm in 2013 brought wind gusts of 100 miles per hour. The storm toppled trees and caused power outages. Additionally, snowstorms in the region are famous for their intensity, sometimes dumping several feet of snow in a matter of hours, and often accompanied by that wind. Eldora Ski Resort, outside of downtown Nederland, gives its location near the Continental Divide and thus can get some powerful winds. The area had to close for most of a day in late 2019 due to hurricane-force winds. The ski resort is considered one of the windiest in Colorado. This tends to be because they are east of the Continental Divide, where gusts coming from the west dip over the summit and rush down the slope. Before snowmaking, winds would often blow natural snow off of the trails into the woods. Of course, gale-force winds are not the everyday weather occurrence while skiing. Eldora is a big little ski resort close to Denver and only 21 miles from Boulder, with mellow beginner terrain to thrilling steeps and glades. And winds yesterday were only 7 miles per hour. Another mining town subject to historically harsh weather is Ward. In the late 1800s, Ward, during the Colorado silver boom, suffered incredibly harsh winters with frequent snowstorms that often trapped miners in the town. The snow could accumulate in massive drifts that shut down the town for days, making travel in and out difficult. It's reported that miners working in nearby mines sometimes could not get out to town for weeks due to snow and wind, relying on whatever supplies they had on hand. 1882 was a brutal winter when the town was hit by one of the worst snowstorms in recorded history. It snowed for days, and drifts were so high that people had to tunnel through them just to move between buildings. Another blizzard in 1913 saw the local general store not receiving shipments for several weeks, families staying inside huddled by the warmth of their stoves and threatening the survival of the isolated community. Ward is located in a valley, but at an elevation of 9,450 feet above sea level, the town is regularly buffeted by wind. One of the most memorable weather events was a fierce winter windstorm in 1973. Winds gusted at 70 miles per hour, and snowdrifts formed so quickly that roads were blocked within a matter of hours. Ward's isolation and the severe wind chill left residents with no way to easily leave town for several days. 2006 saw a storm with winds at 75 miles per hour, causing trees to fall and damaging homes and cars. In 2020, Ward was hit with an incredible snowstorm that blanketed the area in over 30 inches of snow in just a few days. The storm was accompanied by freezing winds and temperatures that plummeted below zero. Storms like these make it difficult to maintain mountain roads in winter and make it much more difficult to access emergency services. While historical records may not capture every extreme wind or weather event, the combination of mountain topography and Colorado's high-altitude climate means that the area of the peak-to-peak is prone to dramatic shifts in weather, often with wind and snow. The weather provided constant challenges for early miners and settlers, and today some similar conditions are faced. These weather patterns have shaped local culture, with many residents embracing the unpredictability of mountain living. As I am recording this, the forecast for tomorrow calls for Central City, 3 degrees, 15-mile-per-hour winds, after a couple of inches of snow overnight. Rawlinsville, 0 degrees, 15-mile-per-hour winds, and some snow flurries. In Nederland, 2 degrees with 25-mile-per-hour winds, after a couple of inches of snow overnight as well. And in Ward, a lovely -2 degrees, 15-mile-per-hour winds, after a couple of inches of snow overnight. So, living in the peak-to-peak, may your weather along this beautiful area be filled with hearth and home, warmth, peace, cozy fire and blankets, perhaps a good book, and the beauty of wind and snow with none of the problems. Listen in next time to the Mountain Ear Podcast for more mountain history, lore, or stories. I'm Maryann Rosen. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Maryann, for bringing us yet another great segment. We'll actually be back next week with another segment from Maryann. Both of our schedules have been really hectic recently, and we want to make sure we keep up with the segments that we both have planned. So, Maryann will have another one in store for us next week. Before then, though, I plan to have another community-centered episode of the podcast up on Wednesday and our regular Music of the Mountain segment up on Friday. So, if you want to keep up with the Mountaineer podcast or share this episode or others around with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to our main website, themtnear.com, and scroll near to the bottom, or head to our podcast's main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com to see an archive of all of our episodes. If you're interested in being involved in the podcast in any way, shape, or form in the year of 2025, whether you want to put advertising on the podcast, whether you want to put your voice on the podcast, whether you want to talk about something that's happening in the Peak to Peak area on the podcast, whatever's going on, if you want to be involved on this Peak to Peak podcast, then be sure to email me at media@themountaineer.com and we'll get something sorted for you. Or head to an individual episode description of the Mountaineer podcast to send us a text today and let us know if there's anything you want us to include or talk about in the future. Thank you all once again for tuning in to this week's Miscellaneous Monday episode of The Mountaineer. I'll be back on Wednesday, but until then, have a great rest of your day.
Lighting up from Reno, I was trailed by 20 hours. Didn't get to sleep last night till the morning came around. Said I'll run, I'm gonna take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Friend of the Devil. It's a Grateful Dead song performed here live by Dead Fish Orchestra. They performed this version at Quixote's True Blue in Denver, Colorado on January 12th, 2013. You can stream this full performance as well as many, many others by going to archive.org/details/Dead Fish Orchestra. You can also learn more about the group by going to their website at deadfishorchestra.com, and you can see 3 members of the group, Paul Murin, Brian Adams, and Chris Sheldon, performing together at the Jamestown Mercantile located at 108 Main Street in Jamestown. They'll be performing as Chris Sheldon and Friends on Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, starting at 7 p.m.
Said I'll run, I'm gonna take my time. Friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight. Well, I got 2 reasons why I cry away each lonely night. First one's name's St. Anne Marie, and she's my heart's delight. Second one is Prison Babe, sheriff's on my trail, and if he catches up with me, you know I'll spend my life in jail.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.